Hello, welcome to the podcast Crazy Little Thing Called Lovdev. Today's episode is 116. Down, Blunder.
Hello, comedy lovers. I don't know if you're lovers. Yeah, podcast has changed a little bit. Thought I'll make it short. I've been listening to other podcasts, right? And you guys already know this, but their intro music isn't as long as mine, is it? Nobody wants to listen to loads of music, so I've changed it a little bit. Some of you might not like it. Some of you probably think, thank God, don't have to sit through that for another 20 seconds. And I got AI to do some intro for me, which is lovely. How are we all? We okay? Finally got to do another episode podcast. It hasn't been the fact that I've been busy. I've been less than busy. It's because the family's at home and I like to record it when there's no one around, so then I can talk about what I want. I can be open. I haven't got all ears on me, so that's how it is. The family have gone to go and watch Kung Fu Panda 4. Just left. So hopefully by the time this has all been recorded, edited, sent out, they'll be back then. But I'm hoping they're not as back as soon as I think. But anyway, it's been good lately. Fortunately, a lot has been happening in the comedy scene. Did a gig with a lad named Jack Carroll. Some of you probably know him. He was on Britain's Got Talent. He's on Coronation Street at the moment, playing somebody's son, I believe. I don't really watch Corrie, which is a drama. For those of you who are not in the UK, it's a British drama, basically set in Yorkshire, I think it is, Coronation Street. So he's on that, and that was a good gig. Felt like a corporate event. Got there, round tables, massive dance floor, which is a proper burden. If you're doing a gig, you don't want a real big gap. It's like a black hole in the middle of the stage. That's what it felt like. So yeah, I've been doing that. Also, what have I been doing? Oh, the other day I was doing a gig at the LCB depot in Leicester, which is basically, it's a food festival. They have it every last Friday of the month, but because it's the Easter bank holiday weekend, they had it on Thursday, and it's got that fringe Edinburgh vibe to it, so it feels like a proper festival. There was quite a lot of people there. Considering the weather was not the best. It was raining all day, and I thought no one's going to be there. If there is people there, I'd be very surprised. But people still turned up. I mean, it wasn't as busy as it usually is because it's quite rammed in there. I would say there was still over probably 200, 300, maybe more, which is still a lot of people. I had a full room. I got to do my show again, half soaked, in front of a full audience this time. And I don't know, the thing with like these type of events, you don't know if everyone is into comedy or they're just in there to get away from the rain. But I had a great show. It was full, as I said. I got to try out loads of material, had some audience participation in between. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. There were bits where people were looking at me like, whoa, is this guy really saying that? Of course I am. And one person gave me a standing applause, and I got some good feedback. I'm not really bothered about the bucket, although I made enough for it to be a nice gig. That really isn't all about it for me. It's not about the money. It's just about making people laugh. Yeah, I got to do that, which was fantastic. That was thanks to Alex Hilton, who runs Jokes on Us Comedy Club. So he kind of like organises it all. I've been doing a lot of MCing quite lately, I'll be honest. MCing seems to be the way forward. I wouldn't say forward. It's not something I want to do, but all these promoters now are booking me to MC. They probably think, yeah, this guy, he's he's not a great act, but he's a good MC. Yeah, I don't know. MCing is a totally different ball game. You just kind of go get them warmed up, get the audience going, and introduce the acts at the appropriate time, should we say, and keep the support and love going. Basically, it was good though. Like I did this same scene in a club called. It was for Laugh Out Loud in Stoke-on-Trent. And somebody actually come up to me just after the second half, and they said they would pay money just to see me. do an hour. And I was like, wow, that's really kind of you. That's like that's really nice for you to say that. Maybe my MC isn't as bad as I thought. Who knows? Maybe, could be. As I said, there is a lot going on in the comedy industry at the moment, which I will break to you guys shortly. Let's crack on and do our usual things. It's time to do. Here we are. Ask the UK. There's a real big dilemma for this person. It was a first topic. I don't mess about, folks. This one is quite serious. Now, it's to do with teenagers. Ugh. I remember when I was a teenager. I bet I was to a lot of people out there. So this person has been posted. Should I say that again? So this post has been put up by original_C786. Not that matters to any of us. But Original C is asking the question, teenagers are close to kicking my door in. How should I stop them? Get yourself a dog. Simple. That's it. You got teenagers coming at your door, trying to kick it in. Get a dog. End of story. But don't get any little dog. Get like a proper dog, do you know what I mean? Like something like that you wouldn't want to look in the eyes of. Like an exile bully. First of all, my question is, why are they kicking your door in? It obviously sounds like you are living in a rough part of the UK. I don't know where you are in the UK, but it sounds like, yeah, you got some trouble there. I don't know, maybe call the police, get a CCTV camera put up, get them recorded, find out who they are, speak to the parents. I feel for you, actually. Like, the last thing I would want is somebody trying to kick my door in, especially kids. Because kids are a nuisance, aren't they? I remember now, this reminds me, right? It's not going off topic, but it is kind of on the same subject. So there was these kids on my street. I think I mentioned this already in one of my podcasts. I think I have now, come to think of it. Anyway, I'll quickly brief it down, shorten it down. There was these kids messing about on my street, right? And I've never seen them before. And obviously, I know they're not from my road. And they started kicking this guy's car door for some reason. I don't know why. He come out. He got mad. He shouted at them. And apparently, he pushed one of them. And that girl's dad came down with some other lads. Nothing really happened. He went to call the police. They were just mouthing off. And then they just left, basically. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Because you don't know who what the parents are like. Do you know what I mean? I'm not blaming the parents, but I've seen it, man. Where I live, I've seen the kids and the youths mess around, and their dads and parents are just as bad. So it's all about the upbringing, innit? But then kids follow other kids. I've done it. I've been there, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been mucking around. Not kicking in people's doors, though. I haven't done that. But do you know what I mean? Like, knock door run, silly stuff like that. I want to know what's going on with this person. Like, obviously, it sounds like they're living in a rough part of the UK, as I said. So they've put down, I've done everything I can to try and stop them kicking the door. I know people in the neighbourhood who have ignored it, and it still happens constantly. I have shouted at them and absolutely scared the life out of them. A couple, and they don't care. So she scared a couple of them, and they don't care. I even know a neighbour who has installed cameras. There we go. That's what I said. And ring doorbells, and it doesn't affect it a bit. They don't care, do they? Because they mass up. They are damaging properties because this isn't just ding-dong ditch. They're kicking the doors as hard as they can, and sometimes it sounds like this are just trying to break in. It's not even children doing it. They're about 15 to 17. Wow. 15 to 17? I mean, they're not even kids. Like 15, 16. Well, then you got the law of 18. So you're an adult. You become an adult at the age of 18. So technically, they are children. But 17-year-olds should know better. What are you doing kicking doors? And you should be out chasing, your other half. Let's put it that way, because you don't know what to say these days. But You know what I mean? Your partner. Go and chase your future partner. Stop kicking indoors. I don't understand why you're kicking indoors. Like, what do they get out of it? Traumatizing people. They don't. The thing is, like, people don't realize how much trauma it brings. It's like a domino effect. That could be an elderly person living in that house. You're kicking the doors in, right? You're almost going to give that person a stroke or a heart attack. And then it just carries on down the line, doesn't it? Kids of the elderly, they start stressing out. They start getting, pressurized mentally. Then they pass it on to their partners. And then then it goes down to the grandkids. And then it just has that domino effect. It's not a good thing, guys. I mean, I know you kids are not even listening to this podcast, but if you are that age and you listen to my podcast, don't do things like that, man. Just think about what it is you're doing. It always has that domino effect. It's gonna affect so many people. And that's the thing, like, when you see all these, these stabbings and shootings and robberies, people do not realize that, the consequences it can put, not just on that person, but, the rest of the people around them. It's quite a shame. I mean, then it becomes into that vigilante thing where neighbours and neighbourhoods will take it in their own hands, and then it just gets out of order. It gets out of control, should I say. Yeah. So she's put down, has anyone got any interesting ways to stop them? Any responses will be considered. Someone said, 999, hello, there's someone actively, violently trying to break into my house and I'm scared for my life. That's what you got to say. You can say, there's someone trying to break into your house. That's what someone else has put down. I'm sorry, we have no one available to attend right now. We will send someone when we can. Don't worry, I've shot one of them. Send an ambulance, please. They've basically just put down their own little jokes that people have commented on this question. Yeah, it's one of them. Just contact your local police station. Get it recorded. If you got a camera phone, record them doing it. Just send it on. It's basically, what do they call it now? It's like ASBO, innit? You got that thing, the ASBO, where you're breaching something. I don't know, man. I've lost the plot. That's basically what I can say. It's a shame that this day and age, it still happens. But I'll tell you what, it's good to see the kids out in the streets. You don't see kids on the streets. I've said it many, many times. You do not see kids. When we were out, actually, do you know what? I was probably one of them kids now, come to think of it. I was always messing about me. There we go. That was today's Ask the UK, brought to you, obviously, by Reddit, as always. Yeah, so I was mentioning that there was a lot going on in the comedy industry. Fortunately, some really sad news received on Good Friday, the just gone. A legendary, well-known comedy promoter passed away on Friday morning. His name was Alan Seaman. I've known him for years. Since I've been doing comedy, he was one of the first people to pay me, give me spots on a pro night. He was always supportive. He was a lovely guy, like quite laid back, very polite. He wasn't rude. He wasn't chatty, and he was a nice person, not just as a promoter. He was generally a nice person, and it was quite sad to hear about the news of him passing away. So many comics know Alan and his little mysterious gigs that he used to put on. So he'd have like village halls. He'd have a back room of a pub. He'll have an art centre in a little church, or they're always like little quirky rooms, and they always seem to work. I remember I did a gig for him, I think it was a year ago, just after lockdown. And there was an aubergine on the stage, right? It was like a painting of an aubergine. It was stuck on this balcony. So this person was taking pictures of me because it was an aubergine. I just took that moment and stood on the side of it and went, go on, take one now. So it looks like I've got a massive aubergine. That was one of his gigs. And Alan's gig was actually where I dropped my deadpan. So I used to be a deadpan act, right? That's how I kind of started. I started off doing stories, and then I ditched the stories and tried to do one-liners, and I was very deadpan-y, influenced by Stephen Wright, who's a comedian, American comedian. If you haven't heard of Stephen Wright, have a look at him on YouTube. He's brilliant. Anyway, I used to do his kind of persona, deadpan persona, and it wasn't really me, that. And I remember Darren Harriott, who's another comic, a good friend of mine, and he said, do your act tonight, but don't be deadpan. I was like, what? He goes, don't be deadpan. Anyway, I did it, and I was an absolute nervous wreck. I was like having a breakdown. And that was at Alan's gig. It was at the Ship of Fools pub he used to run in Leicester. So, yeah, it's been a real shame. A lot of people have put up their condolences and said stuff for Alan, which is really nice. He was a genuine, lovely bloke. And if any of his family members are listening to this, condolences to everyone. It's a real shame. Alan, you will not be forgotten wherever you are. You're the top bloke. Okay, so we're going to move on with the podcast as usual. I'm going to do a No Stupid Question. And there we have it, folks. We've got a No Stupid Question, and I want it to be a stupid question. Even though the forum clearly states, do not send any silly questions, but this one is. I don't think I've got the answer for it because I'm not that technical. But I'll give it a try. So this one has been put up by Trem45, right? The question they've put is, what would happen if I entered an MRI machine with a full suit of armor? What would happen if you entered an MRI machine with a full suit of armor? That's hilarious. First of all, when you're on an MRI scan, are you fully clothed? I don't know. I think you are, aren't you? Or are you in one of them like hospital robe things, like an apron? Not an apron. What do they call it now? Oh, I can't remember. You know what I mean. Anyway, like a night, innit? Like a nightie. A night, you get it. Because you said armour. Anyway, what would happen to the MRI machine? Is it like an X-ray machine, the MRI? I thought an MRI scans the brain. Doesn't it scan the brain? So if you're wearing a helmet, like a metal helmet on your head, an armour type, medieval type, I don't think the MRI scanner will work, will it? Because of the metal. And does it give radiation? I don't know. It probably does, but what would happen? He wants to know what would happen. I'm going to take a guess, right? I could be wrong, but I reckon you could get your brain fried. Because of the metal helmet, like, it will heat it up, yeah? And your brain will, like, just start to, like, bubble up. And then it will explode inside. Your head won't explode, but your brain will explode inside your skull. And your brain will turn into, like, scrambled egg. That's what I think would happen. So he's got down, I should clarify that I do not have access to an MRI machine. I'll be very, very concerned if you did. This could be a doctor asking this question. Nor a full suit of armour, so I have no means to test it myself. But what would happen? Would I stick to the machine? Would you stick to the machine? Is it like a magnet? I don't know, would you? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know why I chose this question, but because it was so silly, I thought, let's find out. Let's see what other people have put. One person has put lots of blood, screaming, and ruined armour. MIR, I can't even say the frigging thing. MRI machine is getting gorged up too. On the bright side, you're already in hospital. Someone's put down, bad news, now you need the morgue. Another person, this might be the answer to it, but everyone thinks they're an expert on Reddit. I've done some work with fMRI in the past. I don't know what the F stands for. So let me see if I can help. First of all, the magnet is always on. So the second you pass the safety zone, you start getting tugged towards the magnet. Here's where things get tricky. It's hard to know how fast you'd hit the side of the MRI machine and how deep you'd end up embedding yourself in the machine. Probably you'd die instantly, in fact. Ideally, you'd die instantly. If you lived, that's where things get grisly. If the magnet survives the impact with your suit of iron, it will continue to try to pull the suit towards the heart of the machine, Most likely, this would result in you being crushed to death. Oh my god. I don't think he's going to do it. However, your suit might get lucky and hit the cache of liquid helium that's keeping the magnet super cooled. I didn't know an MRI machine is basically a massive magnet. I didn't know that. If you breached it, you could get to experience dying of horrible hypothermia. And you've definitely destroyed the MRI. We'll leave it at that. That is a very strange question. I love it, though. I didn't know that an MRI is just a magnet. Is that what it is? What does it even do? Does it scan your brain or something? Something like that, innit? I'm not too sure, you know. Interesting question, though, that. I could have done with being sucked up in a magnet the other day. So yesterday I did an Easter festival, right? And I'm going to do this joke because I think it's hilarious anyway. If you got kids, you might want to mute them. Or mute them. Well, you can't really mute your kids, but you know what I mean, innit? I'll do it as an innuendo. So basically, at this Easter festival, right? It was a family event. There we go. And there was a lot of kids around, but they weren't in the comedy bit as I was on. There was one or two, but they were young, like they were like 2 or 3 years old. I went on stage and I said, my Easter's ruined. It was looking at me. I said, I hit a rabbit. I said, it's okay though. He's in the back of the boot. I'll return it back to Love Honey on Tuesday. I kept the receipt. You should have seen the look on their faces when I did that. But you know what? I thought, if I'm gonna be dark or whatever, I might as well just go straight in, innit? What's the point of me messing around? But weirdly enough, I actually enjoyed it, that little festival spot. The people were laughing. Some people looking at each other thinking, I don't get the joke. But I get that a lot anyway. Because a lot of my jokes are thinkers. But I actually really did enjoy that. That was my little Easter joke. I normally save it like for Easter just to do that. But I might even keep it in my set now. I don't need to say Easter. I can just say, you know, I ran over a rabbit on the way in. Something like that. Right, folks, let's finish the podcast off, as usual, with a weird news story. Today's weird news story comes all the way from down under. Yes, the land of Oz, Australia. G'day, mate. How do I know that? Because it's in the title of the weird news thingamajig. Today's story is Australian freed from a drain after 30 hours hiding from the police. He must have been down in the dumps. Whee. Okay, there goes the tumbleweed. So, here we go with the story. An Australian man has been freed after spending more than 30 hours in an underground drain network. 30 hours. That's more than 2 days, isn't it? 24. Yeah. No, it's more than that. Yeah, anyway, I'm crap at maths. The 38-year-old originally told authorities he had entered the drain in Brisbane to retrieve his phone. But Queensland police said he had fled there after his car crashed into one of their vehicles on Sunday. So he actually hit a police car and ran and got so scared he went in and put himself in the sewage. Ugh. The man was rescued after a passerby phoned authorities to report that someone was stuck underground. He was treated for abrasions and hypothermia. Local media reported the man had been in knee-deep water before firefighters lifted a drain lid, allowing him to climb out. The rescue effort took 5 minutes, a Queensland Fire and Emergency Services spokesman told the BBC. Local resident James Lingwood, shout out to the local resident James Lingwood, who made the call. He made the call, he dubbed him in. He told the Courier Mail newspaper that he first encountered the man on Sunday after hearing a voice sort of yelling. He seemed to be okay, and he said he could get out where he got in, so I just left him alone. That's hilarious. If you was walking down the street and you heard someone down in the sewage, in the drains, basically, and you heard him and he spoke to them, you would be concerned, innit? Like if they said, "Oh, don't worry, mate, I can get out. I'll come back the way I came." But you'd be asking yourself questions. What are you doing down there? And do you know what I mean? Like, that is hilarious, man. So he left him alone. Shout out to James for leaving him alone. By Monday, though, when he returned to the same spot, he decided to act after hearing heavy breathing, indicating someone was in distress. On Tuesday, police said the man had been driving in a suspicious car that reversed and struck a police vehicle around 6:20. That's UK time. Why do you need to write that? We don't care. So 4:20 in the morning, basically on Sunday, causing damage to both the cars. His car then sped off before being involved in a second crash. That's why he hid. The man can't drive. He hit a police car and then he hit another car. I don't blame him for going in the gutters. He caused minor injuries to the other driver. Moments later, the suspect allegedly abruptly exited the car and ran from the scene on foot. It's amazing what people will do sometimes and what happens. So yes, there's always surprises. That's coming from the acting police commissioner, Steve Golishwisky, who told media on Tuesday when asked about the case. Police say the man, who is in a stable condition, is now assisting with their inquiries. There we go. That was today's weird news story, and this was a totally different podcast with a few edited bits. I'm glad I got to do one. I love doing these podcasts. Please, 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 please leave a 5-star review on whatever it is you're listening on, or give it a share. Tell your friends I want to get back in the top 10. I wish. See you later, guys.